My guest today is Linda Franklin. Thank you, Linda, for joining me. Linda is deeply involved because she is the founder of Placer Earth Care Action. And if you want to learn more about it, please please email her, linda.franklin92@gmail.com, or take a look at the website, Placer Earth Care Action, ppoft.org/PECA. It's a beautiful website, and I'm very proud of it. I'm pleased that you've done this. Linda, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you.
And I appreciate your coming, and I also appreciate what you do with Placer Earth Care Action. How did you get started with this organization?
Well, maybe I should tell you who we are, because that will help you to understand, I think, kind of the background. We are an interfaith, nonpartisan, local group of churches and faith groups in Placer County.
And individuals.
Yes, of course,
yeah.
Individuals in those churches and individuals from the public who are not part of the churches. And we are not necessarily a Christian group, but we are faith-based.
Okay.
And that's because we believe that really we have a moral and a spiritual obligation to address the problem of climate change, irregardless of any political agenda.
Yeah.
And
I agree. It's important. It's vital. And it's moral to work about the climate change, to work on the climate change.
Right. And so you ask kind of how we got started or why we wanted to do this. Well, as you say, we know, and we have the evidence all around us now, that we're in a climate crisis on this planet, our Earth home.
Our home, yeah.
And some evidence of that, the Earth right now is the warmest it's been in 125,000 years.
Yeah.
This means it's warmer than we have ever lived in such a warm planet.
Yeah.
And the U.S., by the way, is warming 62% faster than most of the rest of the world, and that's because we're so reliant on fossil fuels.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And before our atmospheric rivers that we're all aware of and the floods we've had, the West was the driest it's been in 1,200 years. And even now, by the way, we're probably going to be told that we're still in a drought because sadly, so much of the flood ran off into the ocean and not all of it got into our underground aquifers because we basically haven't preserved the floodplains where that could have happened, could have entered the ground fully. So these are the climate facts that underlie my desire to do something.
And how long ago was this started, Placer Earth Care Action?
Well, about 18, maybe 19 months now.
Okay.
And this gets into my values as well, because I was taking a class at St. Luke's, and in the class we read a book about having a habitable planet. And that's where the author discussed the moral and the spiritual obligation that people of faith have to try to preserve, restore, and help our planet. And, it really was looking at what are our values. And I know for me, my values are to really honor and respect and protect the preciousness of life.
Which means that we have to respect the earth. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. All of life depends on nature, depends on our Earth. And not only human, but we share this with 8 million other species, and we have a responsibility not to create an inhabitable Earth that they can't live in either.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, human beings we put first, and I love people. I love nature.
As well.
And
and animals, and
and I think, you know, somebody has, more than one person has said that most people's first experience of their idea of God or the source or how, or, you know, the higher power, something bigger than ourselves, it comes out of our experience of nature. Because we have an innate ability to appreciate nature.
Okay.
And so, so those are the values that I feel that make this so important, and I'm sure my partners in this organization would say something similar.
Right. Okay. And so you have 2 regular meetings per month, right?
Right.
And what are they? And when are they? What and when?
Right. Well, so the first meeting is the first Sunday of every month, and we have it at the Auburn Congregational Church, which is at 710 Auburn Ravine Road.
Up the hill.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
In their fireside room.
Okay. And those are what? What do you do then?
So those are they're meetings where we have speakers, we have presentations, we sometimes have authors, we'll have experts in different areas to do with climate change, and some of that we'll have on Zoom, or maybe we'll have in YouTube conversations, but we show these and then we'll discuss them with our group.
Okay.
And that's at 1:15 on that first Sunday of the month. So just to let you know, our coming meeting will be, we're having Jonathan Wright, who is the Auburn City Director of Community and Economic Development.
Okay.
And he's going to speak about a project called Imagine Auburn. So it'll give us an opportunity to talk about how we'd like Auburn to be.
Okay. So that is on the first Sunday of February.
Right.
Okay.
February 5th, I
and
think it is.
if you miss that, you can always go to the one in March, or the one in April. The first Sunday of every month at 1:15 at the Congregational Church off of Auburn Ravine. Right.
And I should say, we actually show all of our programs on Zoom too, so if people get on my email list, I send them the invitation, and it includes the in-person and the Zoom. So people actually, quite a few people do come by Zoom.
Oh, good. Okay. So that's the one. Those are the speakers at 1:15 on the first Sunday.
Right.
And there's a second meeting.
Right.
When?
We just had it last night because it's on the third Thursday of the month, and we call it our movie night.
Okay.
So last night we showed, and we're continuing to show, a movie that is called The Search for Climate Innovation. We show it at St. Luke's Episcopal Church. That's at 124 Orchard, is it Orchard? I want to say Orange.
Orange.
Yes.
Okay.
And
St. Luke's on Orange Street downtown.
Right. And it's at 6:30 at night.
Okay.
And so we've been most recently the Search for Climate Innovations is a series actually coming out of the Great Courses, and it was developed following Bill Gates, the very wealthy philanthropist we all know of. And he had written a book called Solving for Zero, and did a movie, Solving for Zero, which we showed. The Search for Climate Innovations goes into all the ways that Bill Gates says, and his assistants with all kinds of technological advances, say that we have to innovate so that we can reach zero emissions of greenhouse gases by 2050, which is pretty quick.
Yeah.
Very quick.
Yes.
Right.
Of course, it depends on how old you are. If you're 7, it's a long time away, and if
Right.
you're 60 or 70, it's just like that.
Well,
Yeah.
and you're right, and I don't think I'll still be here.
No, me either.
But I'm hoping that my grandchildren, great-grandchildren will be better off because we get as much as we can to solve that.
Yes. Okay. So we are in our 70s. I'm assuming. I know I am.
Yes, I am.
And are there 7-year-olds in this group? Do children come?
Well, that's a good question. We've had my granddaughter, one of them came, and she's now 24.
Okay.
I should know.
So she's a child, essentially.
Well, we won't tell her
Excuse
that.
me, I won't tell her that either.
No. Actually, they go by them. They're a modern They are a modern gender fluid
Okay.
granddaughter. So we have not, I think, had any actual children. But if some come, great.
Yes.
Oh, actually, that's not true. We did a program showing a movie called Youth v. Gov.
Okay.
It was some months ago, and it was about young people who sued the United States government for jeopardizing their right to life and the pursuit of happiness.
Oh, wow.
Right. And it was it was a wonderful movie to see, and we did have some children come. They were probably 12 and up.
Yeah.
And right.
So the younger they are, the more they'll stick around, and yeah. and
I agree.
learn.
Right. And by the way, our March speaker is going to be, what is her name? It's going to be the now, I believe, president of the Placer High School Environmental Club.
Oh, good.
And I will remember
I had
her
them
name eventually.
on my show last year, and I was just charmed, absolutely charmed. They're a great group of
They
people.
are a great group, and I'll remember her name eventually.
That's okay.
But she's going to talk about what they're doing, and I hope a lot of the members will come.
Yes.
And I'm sure she's going to be talking about Earth Day because they do Earth Day. Did it last year, and they'll do it again this year. And you're right; they're a wonderful group, and they're the ones who are going to have to really live this.
Yes. Right. Okay. Which climate change issues do you expect to work on most strongly?
Well, I'll tell you about some of what we have worked on, maybe.
No, that you expect to work on.
Expect to work on. Okay. Things in our future more? Okay. Well, one of the ones I'm really excited about and I'm going to introduce is food waste. Because food waste, I was surprised to learn, accounts for 8 to 10% of destructive greenhouse gases. And most of it, of course, is methane. And methane is so important to work on because while it has a shorter half-life than carbon, it actually also is more intensely warming. So it creates more heating of the earth.
Okay.
So if we can reduce methane, then we can get a faster start on really cutting back the temperature warming.
So how can we do that? Give me a simple way.
Well, it is a simple way to begin with. If you cook, if you have a kitchen, and you handle food, then you're somebody who can contribute to reducing food waste. 22% of our trash is food.
Okay.
And the average household is throwing away, at least in the U.S., $1,500 worth of our food budget of food.
How often? A month?
A year.
A year.
A year.
1,550.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And
So don't buy as much is what the
Well, probably as much as you can, buy what you're going to use and use what you buy.
Okay.
So there are now cookbooks that are especially geared to helping people to think about how we can use all kinds of leftovers, what I call the little dribs and drabs of meats and vegetables and fruits, and how you can turn them into salads or soups or put them in a taco shell or an omelet. So just being imaginative, we can use a lot more of the food. There's even cookbooks now, by the way, that are giving recipes for, I don't think you'd need a special recipe, for banana bread that you make not only with the banana but with the peel.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Okay.
So ways not to waste even banana peels, and not to waste like carrot tops, which I tried cooking the other day and they came out delicious.
Okay. So eat when you bring food home, eat it all. Slowly.
Right. right.
Over several days,
Right.
but eat it all. Yeah.
But another thing that can really contribute to food waste, I've learned about, there are food apps that we download onto our phones, and customers download them, and so do restaurants. And say you're a restaurant that has buffets, but at the end of the day, you can't save and reuse some of the food. Well, we don't want that thrown away. 1 in 4 Americans are hungry, for one thing, but also the waste is so bad for the climate. So the way this app works is it's called Too Good to Go, and people sign up and restaurants sign up, and then you connect them, and the restaurants can sell their leftover food in kind of surprise bags or surprise boxes,
Okay.
and then the consumer can buy it, and it's all at a reduced price.
Okay.
So the restaurants they make some extra income.
Sure.
Customers get a good price. The food doesn't get wasted. It's perfect.
Yes.
It benefits everybody.
Yeah.
And let me tell you about the one you're going to really be excited about. It's called Olio.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And just like with you, what that refers to is that you can actually give away. This app you don't sell, but you can give away even something that's not food. If you have something taking up space in your garage you're never going to use, you could put it on Olio, and maybe somebody local will come and take it off your hands. But also, say you have an orchard or you have a garden like I do, then if you got extra fruit that's going to fall on the ground and rot, you could list that, and somebody can come get your lemons or your peaches or your apples or whatever you have.
Okay.
Whatever your food is, you can give it away.
Okay. So you find that on olio.com or something?
Well, I don't have their website,
Okay.
but if you go online and Google food apps, you'll find Olio listed.
Google food apps. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And speaking of restaurants and food, you also mention on the website, which is again ppoft.org/PICA, PECA. There's the PICA Spotlight. And the last time I looked at the PICA Spotlight, you promote the High Hand Cafe in Loomis for providing a sustainable leftovers box.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
So how long will that be up there, and when will you?
Well, I'm afraid you'd have to ask Barb Munn, who is
Okay.
our very talented technological wizard who does our website. And
Okay.
she put it on, and that just was a picture that was taken when, at the holiday, we all decided, our church members, our board members, we decided we would go out for a celebratory lunch. And we happened to go to High Hand Nursery. And we were happy that I should have brought my leftover food container with me.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing I could have done. And I'll talk about plastics in a minute.
Oh, sure.
Because that's a huge issue.
Yes.
But anyway, it just happened that was her picture of the current iteration. I don't know what she'll come up with.
But how often does that change?
I
Do you
don't know,
Okay.
but I think
it's a great idea.
it is, and I hope people will go on to our website often and see what new thing is there. And by the way, there's a lot of great information there. She's also got all the current church members and faith group members, and I expect we're going to keep growing and have more faith groups join us. Not necessarily Christian. Any faith group can join PICA, and then we partner with. We'll work with ideas and energy from any nonpartisan group that wants to work together, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So it
each
doesn't
of them-
matter if you're religious or not. This is a group that wants people to help.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, we just had a group meeting last night. Almost everybody there, they're from the public. So many of our members who show up are from the public. Whether they go to any church or not, I don't have any idea. Most of them I don't think are even churched.
Okay.
And that's wonderful and fine because
We
it's
need
the spiritual.
people.
It's the spiritual and the moral that
Yeah.
drives hopefully everyone
Okay. Okay.
at some level.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
There's one thing I just don't want to overlook, Susan, because it's a great way to decrease food waste. And there's a new law in California that grocery stores now have to give away edible food that they have been throwing into their dumpsters because it was maybe a day or two over the date or it didn't look perfect, some blemish. Well, now I talked yesterday to one of our members who actually volunteers at the food closet, our Auburn food closet, and she told me that they're going out and they're getting the leftover, the edible food from grocery stores in
good.
town, so they can disperse it to people who are hungry, and that saves a lot of waste too.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And helps the hungry.
Yes.
So that's very important. And the other thing that there's a new law is to do with cities and counties in California now they have to compost or in some way divert at least 75% of their food waste out of the landfill. So one of the things our group did is we toured, along with our plastics waste group that a lot of us also belong to, we toured the Western Placer Waste Management site, what they call MRF.
Yes.
And we toured it, and they're composting green waste.
Yeah.
But now they'll be composting green waste and food waste together,
Okay.
which then provides healthy amendments to the soil to regenerate our soil.
Good.
So
Good.
it's really a win-win.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And California's being very progressive about this, and hopefully will affect the rest of the nation to make these legal
That's
changes.
wonderful. Yeah.
Right.
Good. Okay. What about plastics?
Plastics. Well,
Plastics.
So one of the things that we started with at several of our individual churches was the informing our congregation about plastic waste. So, first get plastic out of the kitchen. And it's an ongoing battle.
Oh, it is. Yes,
Yeah.
I understand. Plastic
Right.
bags and plastic containers and plastic.
Right. And, people just go to the stores and unthinkingly purchase plastic instead of, say, a paper cup. But we've worked on that. And I put up at St. Luke's a big poster that it was a picture of the earth, and I covered it with plastic implements of all kinds to demonstrate the way that plastic is just, it's polluting our entire planet everywhere. So,
But there's something we can do about that.
Yes, because one of the things to know about plastic that's very fascinating to me is since the 1950s, when it first became available, we have produced 9.1 billion tons of plastic. 9.1 billion, and worse yet, most of that plastic is still around.
Yes, I know.
It's still with us
Yeah.
because it takes 500 years to decompose.
But what can we do about that?
So, half of that plastic now is single use. And that is one of the hugest, biggest things we can do is get away from single-use plastics. For example, plastic bottles, plastic water bottles. Human beings are using 1.2 million plastic water bottles a minute.
So don't use plastic bottles if you can possibly avoid it. And it's up to us.
And we can. If we bring refillable bottles with us, we can fill them from the tap. And by the way, that's healthier because in our drinking water, we have fewer plastic microfibers than we do in a plastic bottle.
Sure.
So it's not even healthy to drink from a plastic bottle. Plastic bags. We are using 100 billion plastic bags a year in this country. And that amounts to 12 million barrels of crude oil that we have to take out of the earth. And we know now we've got to stop doing that. We've got to leave it in the earth. So if we take reusable shopping bags with us, or even reuse the shopping bags we got from the store, then we can prevent throwing away more plastic bags, which are not recyclable and end up in the landfill.
Right.
We learned this on our MRF tour.
Yeah. So the message is use less plastic if you use any at all, or reuse it, or don't use it.
So the motto now is reduce.
Sure, if you
That's
can.
the first.
Yeah.
Well, and for example, another single-use plastic is straws.
Yeah.
Well, do we really need straws? Almost never, really.
Yeah.
And we are using 500 million straws every day.
Yeah.
So,
oh my.
I know.
Wow, Linda. We were both sure that we wouldn't get finished today, and we won't. We can't. But we've certainly started to share this information.
Right.
So if you want to learn more about Plaster Earth Care Action, please log on to ppoft.org/PECA and take a look at the times when the times of the gatherings, the first Sunday at the Congregational Church at 1:15 and the third Thursday at St. Luke's at 6:30 p.m. Linda, thank you very much for joining me.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
For having me.
Yes, and thank you for watching.